Hello, podcast listeners. First up, thank you so much for listening to and supporting the podcast. We really, really appreciate it. We love doing it and we love getting the amazing comments in from all of you. Just a quick reminder that the Your Success book is out now on amazon.co.uk and amazon.com. It's currently available in both paperback and Kindle, and the audiobook will be coming out in 2019. Head to tiny.cc/yourbook to check it out. That's tiny.cc/yourbook to check it out. Now, on with the podcast.
Welcome to Your Success Podcast. We give you actionable insight and stories behind real-life success wherever you go. Here are your hosts, Angelos and Mo.
Hi guys, really excited about this episode. I sat down with Mike Bristow. I travelled up to Birmingham to meet him. He's the CEO of CrowdProperty, which is a peer-to-peer lending platform specialising in lending for property development. Prior to CrowdProperty, Mike had a really interesting and varied corporate career, which we discussed in this podcast, including some of his top tips for navigating the corporate ladder. And we also had a discussion about his property investing journey to date. Mike and I also discussed some of the challenges he faces as CEO of a fast growth FinTech business, which was really interesting. So I really hope you enjoy the episode as much as we enjoyed recording it. So, Mike Bristow, CEO of CrowdProperty, thank you very much for joining us on Your Success Podcast.
Pleasure, mate.
So you've got a really interesting CV. So I thought before we get into sort of talking about CrowdProperty, we dig a little bit into that, because I think a lot of our viewers and listeners will get value from your corporate career as well. So can you give us a short sort of origin story about your early corporate career?
Sure, certainly. Left university having done a mechanical engineering degree, very quant heavy. I'm a numbers guy, and went into the world of management consultancy. Everyone has a perception of management consultancy in one way, shape, or form. But it's an incredible grounding in a huge variety of different topics and businesses and sectors and things like that. So I worked for a few firms specifically focused on strategy consulting, and ended up advising a lot of private equity funds, particularly on their buyouts and also the strategy of the businesses that they own. And I found that was very rewarding, because they're quite bright people and they challenge you non-stop, but also you could get stuff done very quickly because the governance is a lot more nimble. So I worked across consumer businesses, business to businesses, business to business businesses, and all over the world. I think I've worked in about 18 different countries through that career, and it's
was that long hours?
Brutal, brutal, horrific. I mean, I've done main M&A presentations, having been in the office for 36 hours, and it's just sort of, it's tough, but it's an incredible grounding in a lot of things. I also then went and did an MBA, which is quite a few people in management consultancy do go on to do that at London Business School, which was a great experience. It's a great network builder, actually. Network is so important to anyone. Did
you find that an MBA, was it more about the network or what you'd learned? Because there's varying views on it, but I know a lot of people do.
Yeah. I think because of a management consultancy background, you've seen a lot of the content. Okay. And the network is awesome. It's so powerful, and the alumni network of London Business School is incredible as well. But then also the other factor is that you're able to sit back and be in a learning environment looking at these different topics. So you can challenge yourself a bit more rather than under pressure of a client engagement or something. So it was a great environment and a great experience.
Were you working while you did it, or did you?
Yes, yeah. So it was pretty tough doing those two together. I look back on that, and brutally tough, but exactly the right thing to do. Occasionally, you just have to burn it. And then after that, that just gave me the confidence to go out and do a few things, and advise under my own steam. So working with big private equity funds that I'd worked with largely before. Secondly, to ramp up some of my property activity. thirdly, to explore a bit about a few other things that I wanted to get involved in, and then all of that sort of competence also gave me the sort of the capability to go out there and look at businesses I want to invest in as well, and in particular property technology, which I'm sure we'll come on to at some point.
And then, so for anyone that's, I suppose, looking to climb the corporate ladder and things like that, what do you think are the three things that you took away from your career that you could, or what advice would you give yourself if you went back, I suppose, is another way of pitching it?
Yeah.
To sort of accelerate that journey.
I mean, sometimes it's tough. Yeah. Sometimes you are, working under extreme conditions in the moment when you're not enjoying it. Okay. And I think you have to take a bigger picture view a lot of the time. And if you take that bigger picture view to say this is something new or different that I'm doing or learning, etc., that is so powerful. And that's what I saw, that it'd be a lot easier if, quite frankly, I didn't have to skill up on a business and a sector each time I started a new project every 2-3 months. My life would have been easier, but as a result, I've got a broader experience for it, and you just have to sometimes take the burn. So
look at the bigger picture. What else would you say to anyone sort of in that?
I would say that the professional structures you get out of large business and large corporates. I mean, what is a large business or a corporate? Okay, it is a set of systems and processes that deliver, a P&L. And largely you're looking there, obviously, state the obvious, more revenue, do it more efficiently, and it drops down, and for the owners of that business, it's a good story. But understanding how that system works, and the benefit of having been in a larger business and then thinking to a smaller business or your own businesses, you can really sort of take that perspective and say, right, create the system.
So systemize more and think about how the business works.
And then I'd say finally, everywhere, big or small business will have its politics, but politics come from, people trying to do things and get on with things, and there's always different perspectives or whatever. There's always some selfish politics and group politics and things like that. But whatever you do, whether it's big business again or little business, it's about getting people together.
It's human nature, isn't it? A lot of it. A lot of the politics that you get in business is just sort of a similar thing that you might get in a group of friends or any other environment. It's just, it just feels more political because it's in a business.
Exactly. But understand how, that group's sort of those group dynamics that you get in various different teams and whatever across big business. It's vital to understand that to get, to be able to build something in the future, or to be able to master that better in your career.
Especially if you want to influence people, whatever stage of your career you're at, you're always in the game of sales.
Exactly. Very easily underestimated. Yeah, definitely.
Great. And then how did that lead into property? So you said it sort of gave you a grounding of skill set to be able to look into property. What was your first venture into? So
I started investing in property in 2002. So buying a flat in London, and then I started buying a few more, and it was a different environment then, and it sort of made sense to me. As a numbers person, I love to look at the dynamics of it and the markets of it on buy and sell side. And I remember doing the maths on my first flat purchase and asking my parents, well, how much did they pay for theirs? I'm paying this, therefore my children, which I didn't have at the time, would be paying this. That doesn't stack up. That doesn't work. But still, the market was moving well, and it had a lot to go up to 2002. And it's we are where we are. God knows how many multiples it's done since then. But I think typically, not necessarily, but typically, one's experience of first step on the property ladder is buying something for yourself, and that sort of the market of the buyer and what the buyer wants is quite helpful because it's you, and I was intrigued by those dynamics, and anyway, just sort of buying a bit more, tried a bit of international stuff.
How did that go?
Interestingly.
That's the same response that everyone seems to give. Was it Bulgaria or?
Two very obvious places. I mean, if you're going to say, where is it? So firstly, Bulgaria. But in Bulgaria, so this is 2004. And a mate of mine and I said, right, okay, the Bulgarian market's hot. Let's go and see what happens. Let's go and check it out. So we went out there, and it was very entertaining because we said, right, the developers are making all the money.
Yeah.
Okay, so buy land.
Yeah.
Very sensible. We set up a business out there and bought a company out there and bought a big chunk of land and a good headland. It was really well located, et cetera, et cetera. So actually, we thought about it really well. Okay. But then, we were doing the deal where we were working with a contract that was not only in Bulgarian but in Cyrillic alphabet. It was a largely cash-based transaction, which was all above board. But you start getting twitchy, and all of these factors, and it's something that my friend and I look back on and just say we would never change for the world, but it hasn't materially changed our lives. And then I have a flat in Dubai as well, very centrally located. That was a sort of a location play, and it was a well-structured finance plan. But it's not as good as knowing your market.
Yeah.
Know your own market.
You advocate more from an investment point of view on your doorstep kind of stuff you can visit, or?
I wouldn't necessarily say on your doorstep, because you can be nimble. The advantages on your doorstep are obviously that you're there to manage it, but and you probably know it intuitively. However, the other markets, most of my portfolio now is based in London. And however, I have properties in where my mother lives and where I grew up, in Kent. I have properties sort of dotted around the place, and some of them are markets that I just sort of got a sense of or whatever. But you've got to have a feel. You've got to have a understanding of is that road good or is that location good or whatever, and qualify on top. You can't run everything by numbers in property, which is something we'll come on to, I'm sure. I suppose the downside as well is that you might be more, depending on how you want to invest, you might be more tempted to do more yourself, when actually you should be looking at outsourcing certain elements like the management and maintenance and things like that. So if it's really on your doorstep and you get tenants ringing you to go around. Exactly.
You are, I guess. Some people like that, but
exactly. But it also depends where. I mean, some of the I look at the London market, and some of I've self-managed some. I manage within a business others that we've bought with other people, with investors, particularly high-yielding stuff, and then some I have managed by traditional agents and online agents. I don't like paying the traditional agent fees, and that's why property technology disruption in that space has so much potential.
Okay, we'll come on to talk about that. So, you got the grounding in business, quite an intense grounding. Moving into property, how did CrowdProperty come about? Actually, I suppose let's go. What is CrowdProperty at a high level, and then how did that idea come about and your involvement in it?
Sure. So CrowdProperty, basically, it more efficiently matches the supply and demand of capital. That's all very good economic speak, but it basically says, right, there's some lenders over there, like you or I, or my mother is a lender on our platform, and there are some borrowers over there that want to go and do some great projects. And let's put them together. Okay, so there's no intermediaries, there's no banks, there's no other people taking a slice of what is the retail person's money and supplying that to the developer to do some work, or property professional to do some work. That's fundamentally what it is. How it came about was that myself, been in property sort of however many years by then, and also Simon Zucchi, who you know, and a couple of others came together and said, God, raising finance for property projects is tough. There are these largely banks or traditional institutions that make it incredibly difficult, and we've experienced that ourselves. And that's the crucial thing, is that the best place for an idea in a business is when you've experienced pain yourself. And if that pain is big and substantial enough, and there's a big enough market out there, go and solve it. Just get out there. Now, that's not every pain. You have to assess it carefully or whatever. But we got together and we said, right, there's a problem there. How do we fix it? And so that was the property developer side. And then we talked a lot about the peer-to-peer lending model, which is sort of a form of crowdfunding where many people could put money towards that property project. And it, that makes sense because those people, the pain there is that the stat I always use is one a few years ago, I think it's a 2016 stat. There's 1.3 trillion pounds worth of capital, of UK people's capital in savings accounts that earn on average 0.8% a year interest. Peer-to-peer lending is not a savings substitute, it's an investment, but it's illustrative of those pounds in those savings accounts are losing money because inflation's higher than that. So there is a demand for something that is not necessarily stocks and shares, where there's a lot of informational advantage by few, but actually something that's democratized and open that says you'll get that return, and you can choose the project.
It's more tangible, isn't it? People can actually see. That's the thing with property. Most people, everyone lives in one, so a lot of people own them. Yeah. And
can always drive by something.
Yeah.
So see the progress.
There's always a feel of more security on
yes.
That. Anyway, okay. And so, what was the first deal that you did through the platform?
So the first project was one in Tunbridge Wells, and we came together in 2013. We listed our this first project in 2014, I think it was August or September or similar. And that took 10 weeks to fund, which was...
So just to put that in context, we borrowed from the platform recently and we funded it in...
It was £300,000 in 53 seconds.
53 seconds, 300,000, yeah. So the fact that first one took weeks it's come a long way.
Exactly, and the fundamental reason there is that it takes time to build a trusted brand. Yeah. In any business, even if it's a retailer where you're putting money onto a website and you're getting something back that will come in a couple of days or whatever, but ours is an investment platform. How do people know that we looked at that deal well? How do people know that we secured it well? How did they know that we found the right borrowers for that opportunity, and how did they know that we would monitor that successfully and get them their return?
You've also got the challenge of property being so, especially some of the development deals being so long that our one took over 2 years to get to a point where we were ready to purchase it. So you've got that challenge as well with the time lags.
Very much so, and those time lags kick in everywhere in the cycle, as many people know if they're in property. But it's... and the single thing that we work incredibly hard to build is that trusted brand, and the only way we build that is by delivering, and delivering in our track record and our we've got 100% capital and interest payback track record. We've got no late loans on our book, and that really validates the hard work that we
what's the total amount that's been lent through the platform so far?
We're about to go through 30 million lents. And that is it's around about 80 million of property funded, and almost 500, we call it, Great British homes. So because,
it's about ultimately.
I mean, the market is undersupplied, and actually from a social perspective, it's very important that more houses are built in this country. We are definitely unlocking more of that supply, and we believe that we can be very material in supporting supply to the country.
Well, it's been great. We've borrowed once and repaid through our Kingsley House project. We borrowed again through our Windham Hall project, which is currently on the platform. We've done 2 raises through that, and the St Lawrence one we've done 1 raise for, and we're bringing another one onto the platform. And our experience has been fantastic so far. It's been really good. And
it's great, and
the investors love it. And
it's great, because it does there's almost like a community sort of aspect to it as well. And it's probably no accident that you've set the record. There's partly, there's a lot of lender demand at the moment because of that track record that we've built, but also, good developers with good projects come onto the platform. They'll get funded in seconds, as was the example.
I've been doing it. I've been doing some talks on raising development finance, and it's about the team. We've got a great team in KHP that we work with. The deals are always good deals, and we've got the credibility and the track record, and those things, and security is good, so they all come together to mean
exactly, yeah. And then what we try and do, people like yourself will bring us that proposition, and we don't look to spin that in any way, shape, or form. We're an independent platform, and we present the facts, and it's our job is to make sure that that is a good loan to lend towards. And without going into the numbers, we see a lot of projects applied for. A proportion of those we list and fund, and that the appraisal and the assessment of those are just really important to us, maintaining that track record.
And are there some that some people bring them and you think, oh God, this isn't a team or a deal that we would ever do, and we have to just but you have to be quite blunt with them?
Well, I mean, and we are, and the great thing is that what we've built is a tech platform. Okay, it's predominantly a tech business, and all that, and the tech at the heart of that, the stuff that everyone sees is a website. But the tech platform beneath that is incredible. You met the development team today, and we're able to appraise things very quickly, and that's serving up a lot of data, a lot of numbers in different sources, different analytics, etc. To present that to expert human brains that say that's a good project, that's not. And we could do that super quickly. So that's why we get, not the 4 months that the bank takes and then might say no, but literally within a day or two, we'll have a very, very clear view. We will already have given illustrative what we could do. And what that means is we can, we welcome all projects to be submitted. It takes 5 minutes on our website, and we'll give a view. Some of our borrowers come to us with, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And we run the rule over it, and we'll support them, and we'll say, "Hey, look, you're right. The way you're looking at this is how we would look at this, or have you considered that? Or that looks a bit low, or bill costs, or pounds per square foot reference in the market, or whatever it is." We'll have an angle and have a view, and we're very balanced. And we would rather see more projects and be able to give quick, efficient answers than maybe people spend too much time on one project that doesn't look great. Actually, they can validate it quickly with us, and we're open to that.
And that's completely down to the team, the platform you've got, and the team, the expert team that you've got.
Exactly.
So just before we close, I want to talk about the role as a CEO and the challenges that you face. So what are the three things that sort of you're always thinking about, top of mind, the challenges that you face regularly as in a role as CEO?
So I think the CEO is guardian of strategy for the business, and I've got a background that's largely about creating strategies. So I think, and we think that is well at hand in our business, but you've got to constantly challenge yourself, constantly challenge that path. But what I also believe in very, very firmly is focus of a business. We are senior debt lender, a two-way marketplace, and we are only going to get better and better and better at doing that. Okay, and that will give us enormous moves into traditional funding source market share, and it's just with that relentless focus that we are learning every day about how to be better and better, and that is a necessity when we start to, we are scaling rapidly, but we will be lending 2, 3, 4, 5, 600 million a year soon, very soon. And so therefore that focus is imperative. Perfecting the systems, the processes, the appraisal models, all the data flows, or the back-end platform, how that serves our business. If we're relentlessly focused on delivering that, it's powerful.
That's come up a lot actually in a lot of the interviews that we've done. We actually included it as one of the chapters in Your Success book. Your Success book was a sort of consolidation of everything that we learned from the podcast episodes we've done to date at the point of writing it, and focus and avoiding distractions, and we call them shiny pennies.
Yeah, definitely.
It's so true, because the more you really hone in and you focus, then you get the feedback and you can perfect it, and then you can scale.
I mean, some people, friends, or anyone that knows me basically knows that I'm pretty competitive. And you're most competitive at something that you've just got better and better at, and you focused at. Tiger Woods wasn't playing much tennis. So it's like, he was working on the absolute microscopic perfection of his swing.
So how do you, I suppose the challenge to that is how do you stay interested in one thing? Do you ever find yourself actually thinking, we could do this, but then you have to bring yourself back, or do you do something for a certain period of time and then systemize it and let someone else manage it, or how do you manage that?
Yeah, it's very much, we've got a very clear vision, so that's probably the starting point. Have the clear vision, okay, and there are lots of pieces to delivering on that, okay. That's still a very focused vision, and then it's just road mapping that out and then saying, right, okay, this is how we're going to get there. These are the pieces we need to work on. This is the dev team focus for this week, or that part of the dev team focus for that month, those 2 months or whatever. Deliver that, build that in. Whether it's looking at security protocol or the analytics and algorithms we work on, and refinement of the data learning we do. All the to-do list is always a million things. You can shorten that to 1,000. You can prioritize that to 100. That's still a lot. But all of those have to focus in on delivering that vision. And again, that puts you in a very strong competitive position.
And is there anything else that as a CEO you've got your defining a strategy and making sure everyone's aligned to that and making sure that the business is focused? What other challenges do you face as you've got loads?
I would say team, absolutely imperative. The people that are in your team, and very early on I placed high priority because we knew we were going to grow the team significantly. In our team, as you met them earlier, 25 in the office, and they're an awesome team. And it was
a good atmosphere, actually. It was a very nice atmosphere.
Yeah, it's nicely balanced between it's great camaraderie, and then when it comes to really cracking on, it's like, right, let's do it. And there's just so we've got lots of different characters and lots of different individuals. I've forgotten what our nationality and language count is. Awesome as well. I think it's like 18, 19 languages or something in the team. And all of those individuals really sign up to the sort of the culture and the ethos of what we're trying to do. That I want to see a passion and excitement for a high growth business. I find it hard not to get passionate about that. I'm biased. I absolutely love it. But having the right individual that will buy into that passion, being part of that passion, and contribute to the culture of the team is so enhancing.
More important than skills, do you think?
Oh yeah. I'd pick I would, if it was just a set of random people to have joined the team, I would pick attitude above capability, because exactly, because if you've got the attitude, they'll pick the capability up. And yes, there are defined roles and specialist roles we have, but attitude is everything, and it's so rewarding as well. It's rewarding for everyone. So I say to the team when anyone joins, I always say it's going to be a great journey, and that's what I can commit to them.
So you're selling the vision and the strategy as much as to investors if you're doing a funding round, as much as to the borrowers and the lenders and the platform, but also to your team as well. Where we're going.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. We're all on board and clear about where this is heading. We're excited about it. It's when we see projects sell out in 53 seconds or 2 minutes or whatever it is, it's actually a problem for us. We don't take it lightly at all. It's a good problem to have, but it's exactly. Our lender team certainly blame you for a good project on one of our raises. But it's I never look lightly at that, because that is a problem. The answer to your question in terms of the challenge of being a CEO, particularly of CrowdProperty, is it's a marketplace. There's two sides to it, and by definition, a marketplace is always out of balance. Okay, one side or the other is always short. Now, that's the negative way of looking at it. One side is always bursting at the seams, with great stuff, and it's we need to manage that carefully, such that customers have a good experience or a great experience on both sides of that.
So just before we close, we ask everyone that appears on your success podcast. Good job, I can say it. What does success mean to you?
Yeah.
So
I think
personal point of view, business point of view, whatever.
I think it's a great question, and there's you must see so many different answers to this, and I think I think what will happen. I have no doubt that we can grow CrowdProperty into an incredible business. But the most rewarding thing about that, okay, and I'm talking specifically about CrowdProperty here, I'm not proxying my personal life by this at all, is the team and how we got there together. That will be immensely satisfying. So wherever all the team are in a few years' time, I want them to look back, okay, and look at their career and say, that was one of the coolest bits of my career. I gave them so much experience and a launch pad for whatever anyone does at any point. I'm not saying that everyone will be around for like 20 years in this thing, but that for me is kind of like a measure of success in terms of what we're trying to achieve as people in the business.
That's legacy, isn't it, as well? That's how they remember you and how they remember the business, whether they're in it or not.
Exactly. And then from the personal standpoint, I think it's always about. This is where I'm very bad, and I think you're probably bad at this as well. Is that it's sort of creating the option to have a bit more downtime and a bit more time with your family. The problem is that we also sometimes need to force ourselves to exercise that option. So, and as we've mentioned, I've got 2 newborn twins and now 4 kids, and that's there's the balance of there's going to be a reasonable amount of cost associated with that, but there's also going to be time that all of us need to spend more with our families. So I think that's a big thing, and
making sure you carve out enough.
Exactly, which I'm awful at doing. But we'll certainly try to going forward more. But
no, it's a lot of people that we've had on the podcast have said that the common themes. Everyone gives a different answer, but the common themes, which we wrote about in the book as well, are time freedom, financial freedom, meaning the money to be able to do what they want when they want and with who they want, and freedom mostly as a kind of a general theme. And freedom, like you say, to spend time with family, but also be working like you said, in a team and with people that you will be working with and you enjoy going into work every day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's certainly a place that, I mean, I love coming to work every morning, and this is, the business is not based in my home city, but still I have an immense passion for growing this business here, and I'm with absolute commitment as well. So.
Brilliant. And what's the best way for people to get in contact with you or to find out more about CrowdProperty?
Sure. So the best way, we launched our new website last year, September. We think it explains things reasonably well. So that's at www.crowdproperty.com. You can find out a bit more about investing funds with us or about borrowing with us. We are, there are contact numbers on the site and email addresses. We'd love to help. We love answering questions on it, on anything. And, we're here to help you if you'd like to engage with us in a way that, most importantly, you understand fully. And that's, incredibly important, especially on the investing lending side, that really to understand what that is. We have a great track record. Past performance is not necessarily the perfect indicator of future. I have to say that for FCA reasons, which is important. But we are an online tech business with a face and humans and people who are very open to answer. Yes, indeed. Indeed.
Databases, yeah. Well, brilliant. Well, thank you for your time. Appreciate you. You're really busy, so thank you for taking the time.
Pleasure. Thank you, Mo. Much appreciated.
You have been listening to Your Success Podcast. Click subscribe for more incredible content. More details can be found at www.yoursuccesspodcast.com.